Okay, let's see. What's our next video?
People on the right are constantly making jokes. Memes are meant to be funny, you laugh. When you participate with Trump supporters or conservatives or people who typically post memes, everything's meant to be a joke. It's all tongue-in-cheek, it's just funny.
The NPC meme is fucking amazing. And not just because it's genuinely hilarious and accurately represents the way that not just left-wingers, but especially SJW types, the far-left types, who are kind of like pre-programmed, but with a certain set of responses.
Is it a joke? Is it not? Is it just a childish way to avoid criticism?
Oh dear lord. I know this video is quite old now, but I still think it's somewhat relevant. Anyways, to sum up from what the guy was saying before and what he says after that clip, basically all I can say in response is, it's literally just a meme. It's a joke. You're taking this thing way too seriously. Do some alt-right people and very radical groups on the right or the supposed right use it? Yes, but predominantly most people who use it aren't those groups. It's just another way for people to compare the crazy left to what we see in everyday things. The biggest part of the meme is to show that you guys are acting all the same, you all talk the same, you espouse exactly the same views, and you talk like a hive mind. You sound like a cult. You sound so irrational that you sound something like an NPC, something that doesn't sound quite right. Anyways, now on to the next clip.
I'm going to talk about how fascists work. If you don't know that the NPC meme is being created, shared, and perpetuated by fascists, It is. According to Umberto Eco, who literally wrote the book on fascism, fascists have to make their enemies out to be simultaneously weak and strong. Weak so that they can justify their superiority over them, and strong so they can explain why they're an urgent threat that has to be destroyed right now.
Okay, first off, that's a tactic. Just because someone does that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a fascist.
Fascism as an ideology is just power for the sake of power, and that propaganda tactic is right in line with that. Just say and do anything to get and hold power, even if the things you say and do contradict each other. So your enemies are simultaneously weak and strong. Bear that in mind.
No, fascism is a sort of a mixture of corporatism and authoritarianism. And even if it was the power for sake of power, other groups do that, like communists and socialists. Like some communists might say that we have a wage slavery. Since you're getting paid and you're not forced to work, you're just working to get paid, you're not a slave. You can quit the job and go somewhere else. So see? Other ideologies have contradicting statements.
The left has been stereotyped as hysterical SJWs for a while, but all of a sudden we're heartless robotic NPCs?
It's called a meme, you know? It's a joke. You're not supposed to take it absolutely seriously like you are right here.
What happened? Well, for one thing, it's saying things that are completely contradictory in order to gain power.
No, they're just making fun of you. It's to show how you guys are saying the exact same things, just hysterically, but in a cultish way, or in a robotic way, in this case.
But for another, it marks a progression. Screeching SJWs are trying to censor everyone. They're weak because they're emotional, and they're strong because... universities?
No, it's not just universities, and actually universities are a big thing to have control over. They also have control over other schools, like high school, junior high, elementary. Not to mention they have control over all of Hollywood, and most labor unions, and most of the psychology and sociology organizations. They have control over California, New York, Washington, Oregon, New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, Virginia, Maryland, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island, Hawaii. They also have control over corporations like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, Gillette, Burger King, Amazon, Apple, Disney, Starbucks, Nike, Target, Hulu, Netflix, and Ben & Jerry's. There's also the fact that they control most of the mainstream media and they control a lot of the alternative media. Oh, and that's specifically just talking about the United States. I didn't mention the fact that they also have control over all of Western Europe, and they have control over the European Union, which also has control of just pretty much all of Europe. Except the UK, but quite frankly, the UK is still fucked either way.
The NPCs, on the other hand, are weak because they're emotionless. Do you see what happened? The weakness of the enemy became the point of strength, the thing to be proud of. In the capacity contract, Stacey Clifford Simpleton talks about communities of vulnerability and communities of strength. Communities of vulnerability are united by some sort of common problem or need. Think The Breakfast Club. Communities of strength are united by some kind of common perceived strength. Think the Galactic Empire. Usually, communities of vulnerability have been on the left and communities of strength have been on the right. But recently, fascist recruiters have been using what we could call communities of perceived vulnerability, or lies, to unite people, usually young white men, and draw them slowly but surely to the far right.
The far right is so darn small, it's about what, maybe a couple thousand people in it? Even according to the Daily Beast, which they get their information from the SPLC's estimate, it's only around 0.003% of the US population are any sort of white supremacist. So no, there isn't this mass conversion of white men going to the alt-right.
Now, it's not that those guys have no problems, it's just that the fascists are lying to them about what their problems really are and what the causes of those problems really are. Now, though, the fascists need to draw them into a community of strength. It won't do for your boys to be sitting around sharing depression memes. They have to be proud of something if you want them to get out and do fashy stuff. Look at that guy. So proud. So the fascists are trying to draw everyone into a community of strength, and the NPC meme is a part of that? Well, yes, really. Apart from the obvious concern that calling your political opponents NPCs dehumanizes them and makes their lives worth less than yours, a very common fascist rhetorical tactic, by the way.
You want to talk about dehumanizing? How about the dehumanizing that the left-wing media has done to white, straight men? Or how about Hillary Clinton's comment saying that all Trump supporters are deplorables? You don't think that is dehumanizing? Being insulted by the mainstream media and major political figures is far worse than getting a little boo-boo from a meme. This is why all of us think you're such whiny asses. Because you do shit like this.
So how effective is this? How worried should we be? I mean, if it's effective at the actual obvious goal, then quite worried? Convincing your followers that the left aren't human and don't count as people is kind of mass shooter bait?
The amount of stupidity that just came out of your mouth, no words can quantify how stupid that was of you to say that.
I don't know, on a scale from 0 to everybody panic, it's a very scared shrug?
So yes, a hesitant shrug it is, since after all, this is just another in a long line of right-wing rhetorical forced memes. And just as soon as everyone realizes how embarrassingly clearly it displays the far-right penchant for childish gotcha tactics over any real substantive criticism of those who oppose, it'll go to the wayside and...
Bots.
Huh?
Bots.
What do you want?
Your side has been
What?
calling us Russian bots for the past year, and that's exactly the same thing.
Okay, let's talk about this one. As illustrated by a good boy Curio there, the dehumanizing, alienating nature of the NPC meme is right in line with traditional right-wing tactics to invent a monstrous outgroup that you can just pin all of your societal ills on while subtly, not really that subtly, suggesting that they genuinely are less human than you are.
Literally, the left does the exact same thing, but far fucking worse. I just said that you guys, your group, says awful, racist, and sexist things about white men. And if you want to see all my sources on this, I'll have my video, Racism in America, down below. Anyways, enough of this bull crap. Thank you for watching. If you liked my video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you really liked my video, please consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi. Do all that, and I'll see y'all later.
We bop and hippity hop, I'm as happy as I can be.